What if I told you that one of the biggest lies ever told to people struggling with blood sugar is that carbohydrates are the enemy? Seriously, what if the very thing you've been trying to cut out for years isn't actually the root problem at all? Because every week I meet people who are terrified of eating a banana, afraid of oatmeal, nervous about beans, and convinced that one bite of fruit is going to send their glucose through the roof. Meanwhile, their blood sugar keeps climbing, their energy keeps dropping, their waistline keeps expanding, and they cannot figure out why. Here's the truth. High blood sugar is rarely caused by a lack of willpower. It is usually caused by a body that has stopped responding properly to insulin. And until you fix that deeper issue, you can spend the rest of your life chasing numbers, avoiding foods you love, and wondering why nothing seems to work. Now, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, you check your blood sugar, and for the first time in a long time, the number is lower. Not because you starved yourself, not because you skipped dinner, not because you took another medication, but because your body is finally working the way it was designed to. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. Because in this video, I'm going to show you 5 foods that help your body regain control of blood sugar naturally. These aren't exotic supplements. They're not miracle powders. They're not some trendy health hack that disappears in 6 months. These are real foods backed by science and used by thousands of people to improve insulin sensitivity, reduce glucose spikes, and support healthier fasting numbers. And if you stay with me until the end, I'll explain why one of the healthiest foods on this list is actually a carbohydrate. Yep, a carbohydrate, the very thing most people have been told to fear. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. If you're over 45 and you're serious about understanding how your body works, instead of simply covering up symptoms, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And down in the comments, tell me your fasting blood sugar number from this week. I read those comments every day, and they help me create videos that address the real challenges you're facing. All right, let's get started. The first food might surprise you: fenugreek seeds. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Never heard of it. That's okay. Most people haven't. But this tiny seed has been helping regulate blood sugar for generations. And the reason comes down to something called soluble fiber. Inside fenugreek is a special type of fiber that absorbs water and forms a thick gel in your digestive system. Think of it like a traffic cop, slowing everything down. When carbohydrates enter your stomach, this gel slows how quickly they're broken down and absorbed. Instead of glucose flooding your bloodstream all at once, it enters gradually. And that matters, because blood sugar spikes are stressful. Every spike demands a huge insulin response, and over time, those repeated demands contribute to insulin resistance. Fenugreek helps prevent that. But it doesn't stop there. Researchers have also found compounds inside fenugreek that may help improve how your body uses insulin. In other words, you're getting support from both directions: less sugar flooding in, better sugar handling once it's there. That's a pretty powerful combination. The easiest way to use it is simple. Take about 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds, soak them overnight in water. In the morning, drink the water and chew the softened seeds before breakfast. Some people prefer grinding them and mixing them into yogurt or smoothies. Either method works. Just start small because the fiber can be strong if your digestive system isn't used to it. Now let's move to number 2, and chances are it's already sitting in your kitchen: cinnamon. But not just any cinnamon. This is where a lot of people get confused. Most grocery stores sell cassia cinnamon. The problem is, cassia contains higher levels of a compound called coumarin, and large amounts over time can stress the liver. The better choice is Ceylon cinnamon. You'll often see it labeled as true cinnamon. It's milder in flavor and safer for daily use. Now here's why cinnamon gets so much attention in blood sugar discussions. Certain compounds inside cinnamon appear to help insulin work more efficiently. Think of insulin as a key. Its job is to unlock your cells so glucose can enter. But when insulin resistance develops, that key stops working smoothly. The lock becomes stubborn. Cinnamon seems to help the lock respond better. And when cells become more responsive, glucose moves out of the bloodstream more effectively. Many people also notice smaller glucose spikes after meals when cinnamon is included regularly. It's not magic, it's simply supporting the body's natural systems. One of the easiest ways to use it is adding a quarter to half teaspoon to your morning coffee, oatmeal, smoothie, or yogurt. Simple, affordable, and incredibly easy to stick with. Now let's talk about one of the most underrated foods in this entire video: broccoli sprouts. Not broccoli, broccoli sprouts. There's a huge difference. These little sprouts are harvested just a few days after germination. They may be tiny, but they're absolutely loaded with a compound called sulforaphane, and this is where things get interesting. Many people wake up with high blood sugar despite not eating anything overnight. Ever wonder why? The answer often involves the liver. Your liver acts like a glucose factory. Throughout the night, it releases sugar into your bloodstream to keep your body supplied with energy. The problem is that in insulin resistance, the liver often releases far too much, so you wake up with elevated fasting numbers. Sulforaphane appears to help calm that process down. Instead of the liver acting like a factory working overtime, it starts behaving more normally. That's one reason researchers have become so interested in broccoli sprouts over the last decade. They target a part of blood sugar control that most people never even think about. And here's the crazy thing: broccoli sprouts contain dramatically more sulforaphane than mature broccoli. That's why the sprouts matter. A small handful added to salads, sandwiches, wraps, or eggs can go a long way. Just try not to cook them heavily. Heat destroys much of the active compound. Raw is best. Now, before we move to food number 4, I want you to notice something. None of these foods are removing anything. We're adding, we're supporting, we're helping the body function better. That's a completely different mindset from restriction. And honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons people stick with these changes long term. Because nobody wants to spend the rest of their life feeling deprived. Now let's talk about avocados. For years, people avoided avocados because they were worried about fat. But here's the reality: not all fats are created equal. The fat inside avocados is primarily monounsaturated fat, the same type found in olive oil. And this kind of fat does something remarkable: it slows digestion. When you eat carbohydrates alongside healthy fats, glucose enters the bloodstream more gradually. Instead of a steep roller coaster spike, you get a smoother rise. That means less insulin demand, less stress on your pancreas, and more stable energy. But there's another benefit. Healthy fats help you stay full. Think about it. How many times have you eaten a low-fat breakfast only to find yourself hunting for snacks an hour later? That's because fullness matters. The more satisfied you feel, the easier it becomes to avoid constant grazing and sugar cravings throughout the day. Half an avocado with breakfast is one of the simplest upgrades you can make. Put it on eggs, add it to toast, slice it into a salad, whatever works for you. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is consistency. Now let's get to food number 5, and this one may be small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Chia seeds. These tiny seeds might not look impressive, but once they hit water, they transform. If you've ever seen chia pudding, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They absorb liquid and create a thick gel-like texture. And inside your digestive system, that same process helps slow the absorption of carbohydrates. The result? More stable blood sugar, fewer spikes, less hunger, better control. But chia seeds bring something else to the table: Omega-3 fatty acids. Now, when most people hear omega-3s, they think of fish, and that's true. Fish is fantastic, but chia seeds provide a plant-based source that helps support healthy inflammation levels throughout the body. And inflammation matters more than most people realize, because chronic inflammation interferes with insulin signaling. It essentially creates static in the communication between insulin and your cells. Reduce the inflammation, reduce the static, improve the signal, and suddenly your body starts responding more efficiently. 1 to 2 tablespoons a day is plenty. Mix them into yogurt, add them to smoothies, stir them into oatmeal, or make a simple chia pudding. They're incredibly versatile. Now, we've covered 5 powerful foods, and here's what I want you to understand before we stop for today. Every single one of these foods works differently. Fenugreek slows digestion. Cinnamon supports insulin function. Broccoli sprouts help regulate liver glucose production. Avocados stabilize meals with healthy fats. Chia seeds slow absorption while helping calm inflammation. Different mechanisms, same goal: helping your body regain control. And honestly, we're just getting started, because in the next part, we're going to cover the foods that work even deeper. Foods that target inflammation directly. Foods that help repair insulin signaling. Foods that can dramatically change the way your body handles glucose over time. We'll talk about fatty fish, walnuts, eggs, apple cider vinegar, and one carbohydrate-rich food that consistently helps lower blood sugar instead of raising it. And trust me, that last one completely changes the conversation around carbs. You know, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make after hearing information like this is thinking they need to become perfect overnight. They clean out every cabinet. They throw away every food they enjoy. They swear they will never touch bread, potatoes, pasta, or dessert again. And for about 5 days, maybe even 2 weeks, they do great. Then real life shows up. A birthday party, a family barbecue, a vacation, a stressful week, and suddenly they feel like they failed. Let me tell you something. That all-or-nothing mindset is exactly what keeps people trapped, because blood sugar health is not built on perfect days. It is built on consistent days. Your body does not care if you had 1 slice of birthday cake at your granddaughter's party. Your body cares about what you do most of the time. That is where the magic happens. Think about it like this. If you throw 1 log into a campfire, it burns for a little while and then dies. But if you add small logs every day, the fire keeps burning. The same thing happens with insulin resistance. Every time you eat foods that support your metabolism, every time you choose protein over sugar, every time you add fiber instead of processed snacks, you are throwing another log onto the fire of healing. Little by little, your cells start responding again. Your energy improves, your cravings calm down, your numbers start moving in the right direction, and one day you look at your glucose meter and realize something incredible. The number that used to scare you is gone. Now let me share something most people never hear. The goal is not just lower blood sugar. The goal is metabolic flexibility. That means your body can handle food the way it was designed to. When you were younger, you could eat a baked potato and your body knew exactly what to do with it. You could enjoy a family dinner without your glucose shooting through the roof. Your system was flexible. Insulin resistance steals that flexibility. These foods help you earn it back. And the beautiful thing is that the body wants to heal. Your body is not working against you, it is working for you. Even after years of elevated sugars, even after decades of bad habits, your cells are constantly trying to repair themselves. They simply need the right environment. That's why I get frustrated when people are told that worsening blood sugar is just a normal part of aging, because it's not. Getting older is normal, Becoming more insulin resistant every year is not inevitable. I have seen people in their 70s improve faster than people in their 40s, not because they had better genetics, because they finally gave their bodies what they needed. Let me tell you about another patient. We'll call him Frank. Frank was 71 years old, retired truck driver. Good man, worked hard his entire life. He came into my office carrying a notebook. Inside were years of glucose readings. Every page looked the same. High fasting sugars, high after-meal sugars, more medications, more frustration. He looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "Doc, I feel like I'm fighting a battle I'm losing." Maybe some of you watching feel exactly the same way. Frank was convinced his future was already written. He believed diabetes always got worse. That was the story he'd been told. So we started small, not dramatic, not extreme, just practical. Eggs for breakfast, walnuts in the afternoon, cinnamon in his coffee, salmon twice a week, a little vinegar before dinner, lentils replacing some of the foods spiking his sugar. Nothing crazy, nothing expensive. Within 2 weeks, his fasting sugars dropped. Within 2 months, he had more energy. Within 6 months, his doctor reduced one of his medications. But the biggest change wasn't his glucose meter. It was his attitude. He walked into my office smiling and he said, "For the first time in years, I feel like I'm winning." That is what I want for you. Not perfection, progress. Because progress creates hope, and hope creates momentum. Now let's talk about something important: sleep. You can eat every food on this list and still struggle if your sleep is terrible. Why? Because sleep directly affects insulin sensitivity. One poor night of sleep can make your cells temporarily more resistant to insulin the next day. That's why so many people notice higher cravings after a bad night's rest. Your body is looking for quick energy. If you're staying up late watching television, scrolling your phone, or sleeping only 5 hours a night, your metabolism is paying the price. Try this. For the next week, aim for a consistent bedtime. Nothing fancy, just consistency. Your hormones love consistency, and when your hormones improve, your blood sugar usually follows. The same thing applies to stress. Nobody talks about this enough. Stress raises cortisol. Cortisol tells your liver to release more glucose into the bloodstream. That's useful if you're running from a bear, not so useful when you're sitting in traffic or arguing with somebody online. Your body doesn't know the difference. Stress is stress, and your blood sugar responds. This is why 2 people can eat the exact same meal and get completely different glucose readings. One person is calm, the other is stressed. Different hormones, different outcome. That doesn't mean you need to move to a cabin in the mountains and meditate all day. It simply means giving yourself moments to breathe. A walk after dinner, time outside, a hobby you enjoy, a conversation with a friend. Those things matter more than people realize. Now I want you to imagine something. Imagine 6 months from now. You wake up, you check your blood sugar, the number is lower than it is right now. You have more energy, your clothes fit better, your doctor is smiling instead of warning you. You are spending less time worrying about complications and more time living your life. That future is not built through one giant decision. It is built through hundreds of small decisions. One breakfast, one lunch, one dinner, one day at a time. That is how real transformation happens, not through motivation, through consistency. So, let's review the action plan. Tomorrow morning, start with eggs and avocado. Add Ceylon cinnamon to your breakfast or coffee. Soak fenugreek tonight. Try apple cider vinegar before your biggest carbohydrate meal. Add walnuts as a snack. Get broccoli sprouts if you can. Eat fatty fish twice this week. Replace some refined starches with lentils. Drink water. Sleep better. Move your body every day. And most importantly, Give your body time, because healing is happening even when you cannot see it. Every healthy meal sends a message. Every better choice sends a signal. Every day your cells are listening, and eventually they respond. That's how blood sugar improves. That's how insulin resistance reverses. And that's how you take control back. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments what your fasting glucose was this week and which of these foods you're going to start with first. I read those comments every day, and they help me create future videos specifically for this community. And if someone you love is struggling with blood sugar, send this video to them, because sometimes one simple piece of information can completely change someone's health journey. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, stay consistent, stay hopeful, and remember your body is capable of far more healing than you've been led to believe. I'll see you in the next video.